The night was quiet. Too quiet for a place that once buzzed with machines and workers. The old research base had been closed for years, yet strange blue lights often flickered deep in the forest behind it. People in the nearby town said ghosts lived there. But Ethan, a young human engineer, didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in problems, circuits, and logic. And right now, logic told him that something was wrong with his scanner. It kept picking up strange energy waves from the woods. So he packed his flashlight, grabbed his small drone, and followed the signal. The forest was dark and thick. Each step on the wet ground made soft crunching sounds. The cold wind moved through the trees like a whisper. Ethan's drone flew ahead, casting small beams of light. The scanner in his hand beeped faster and faster. Then suddenly, a bright blue flash. Ethan jumped back and covered his eyes. The drone spun out of control and crashed into the mud. The forest fell silent again except for the soft hum of something glowing ahead. He stepped closer, his heart pounding. Behind a cluster of shining rocks lay a small crater. Inside it, something moved. At first, he thought it was an animal. But then he saw the shape. It was a person, or at least it looked like one. The figure sat up slowly. Silver hair caught the moonlight, and skin that shimmered like dust reflected the glow from the rocks. Her clothes were torn and she held one arm tightly as if it was hurt. When she turned her head, Ethan froze. Her eyes were not normal. Each one had 3 pupils, small and sharp like stars in the dark. He didn't breathe. His voice came out as a shaky whisper. What are you?" The girl blinked, clearly scared. She looked at him, then at the trees around them as if she was expecting someone or something to appear. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling but soft. "Don't tell anyone, please." Her English was broken but clear enough to make sense. Ethan's instincts screamed at him to run, to report this to someone. But something in her voice, fear, pain, desperation, stopped him. She wasn't a monster. She was scared. He slowly put his flashlight down and raised his hands. "Hey, it's okay. I won't hurt you." You're hurt, aren't you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked up at the sky where faint red lights blinked among the stars. Her silver skin shimmered brighter. "They're coming," she whispered. "They will find me soon," Ethan frowned. "Who's coming?" Before she could answer, a low humming sound filled the air. It came from above, distant, mechanical. He could see several drones moving like glowing eyes through the forest sky. "Unauthorized energy signature detected," one of them said in a cold, robotic voice. "Target near Sector 4. The girl grabbed Ethan's sleeve. "Please, hide me." Her touch was cold, almost electric. Without thinking, Ethan pulled her toward the trees. They ran together, branches scratching at their faces, mud splashing around their feet. The drone's lights flashed behind them, scanning through the woods. Ethan's breath came in short bursts. "There's an old shack not far." "We can hide there." The girl didn't speak, just followed him silently. Finally, they reached an old mining shack at the edge of the forest. The roof was half broken, but it would have to do. Ethan pushed open the creaky door and helped her inside. She sat down on the floor, shaking. Ethan tore off part of his jacket to wrap her bleeding arm. Her silver skin seemed to glow faintly where the light touched it. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She hesitated, then said softly, "Lyra." "Okay, Lyra. I'm Ethan. You're safe now, all right?" She looked at him with those strange eyes, 3 tiny pupils in each moving like gears turning inside. For a moment, Ethan thought he saw something else behind them, something alive, something more than human. Lyra's voice was small, almost a whisper. "You shouldn't help me. They'll hurt you too." Ethan shook his head. "I don't care. No one deserves to be hunted." For a long moment, there was silence. Only the wind moved through the cracks in the wall. Then Lyra said something that made Ethan's heart stop. "They want me because of what I am. Because of my third," Ethan frowned. "Your third what?" She didn't answer. Her gaze turned distant, as if she heard voices far away. Outside, the sound of drones returned, closer this time. Their scanners lit up the night. One of them spoke again in that cold voice. "Target with third signature detected." Ethan froze. His mind raced. "A third what?" He whispered under his breath. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly as she looked at him. "You'll see soon." And just like that, the light outside vanished. The night turned silent again, but Ethan knew the danger was far from over. Somewhere deep in the forest, something mechanical stirred awake. He didn't know it yet, but that night, He had just stepped into a secret that could change the future of both humans and aliens forever. The night didn't rest after that. Even when the forest grew quiet, Ethan could feel something alive in the air, like static before a storm. The strange alien girl, Lyra, sat in the corner of the old shack, breathing fast, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Ethan looked through a crack in the wall. The search drones had moved deeper into the forest, their cold lights scanning the ground, but they would come back soon. He knew how they worked. He had helped design something like them years ago. He turned to Lyra. "You said they're after you." "Who are they?" Lyra didn't answer. She was shaking, her silver skin flickering with soft light. Ethan grabbed an old blanket and wrapped it around her shoulders. Her touch felt strange, like warmth wrapped in static electricity. "I won't hurt you," he said quietly. "You can trust me." She looked up slowly. "Humans said that before." Her words cut deep. Ethan didn't reply. He could see pain in her eyes, not just fear. Something terrible had happened to her, and he wanted to know what. After a while, the wind began to howl again. The shack creaked, dust falling from the ceiling. Lyra flinched at every sound like she was trained to expect danger. Ethan kept his flashlight low and whispered, "You're safe here for now. No one knows this place exists." Lyra tilted her head. "This place smells like old metal and sadness." Ethan couldn't help a small smile. "That's about right." Then she asked something unexpected. "Do humans always help strangers?" Ethan shrugged. "Not always, but sometimes it's the right thing to do." Lyra's glowing pupils moved in a slow circle. "You risk your life for someone you don't know. That makes no sense." Ethan sat down across from her. "Maybe not to you, but it makes sense to me." For a long time they sat in silence. The world outside felt frozen. Only the faint hum of machines far away reminded them that the hunt wasn't over. Finally, Lyra spoke again. "You should not have seen me. If they find you, they will erase you too." "Erase me?" Ethan frowned. "Who are they?" Lyra's lips trembled. "Humans, your kind. They came to our world long ago. They took things. They took me." Her voice broke for a second. "They said they wanted peace. They lied." Ethan's heart pounded. He had heard of hidden human experiments during the war, but no one talked about them anymore. "You mean they experimented on you?" he asked softly. She nodded. "They called it Project Mirror. I escaped, but they want me back." Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Project Mirror. He knew that name. It was old, something from his training days at the defense labs. He remembered seeing files marked with that title, locked behind heavy clearance. He had thought it was just a simulation program. "Wait," he whispered. "You're telling me that was real?" Lyra's three pupils focused sharply on him. "You know of it?" He swallowed hard. "Only the name." She looked away. "They used it to create something impossible. My kind call it the third link." Ethan frowned. "What's that?" Lyra touched her temple gently. "3 minds, 1 body. That is who I am. 1 mind feels. 1 mind thinks. 1 mind remembers. But one of mine was taken." Ethan's stomach turned. "You have 3 minds?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but now only 2 remain. I am not whole. Without the third, I am weak." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "You're serious? You mean there's another version of you somewhere?" Lyra's voice trembled. "Not version, piece. They stole part of my soul. They used it to build new machines, machines that think like me." Ethan couldn't speak. His mind was racing. Was this girl telling the truth? Or had she been broken by fear? But then he remembered the drones, how they said third signature detected. That wasn't coincidence. He stood up suddenly and began pacing. "I can't believe this. If Project Mirror was real, then the people chasing you will never stop," she finished for him, "until they take what's left of me." Lightning flashed outside the broken window, followed by a deep rumble of thunder. For a moment, the blue glow from Lyra's skin mixed with the flash of lightning, filling the shack with a ghostly light. Ethan looked at her, really looked this time. She wasn't a monster. She wasn't a threat. She was broken, alone, hunted by the same kind of humans who once used him for his skills. He took a deep breath. "Then we'll have to stay hidden. There's an old tunnel beneath the base. If we can reach it, maybe we can get you out of here." Lyra's eyes widened. "You would do that?" "For me?" Ethan nodded. "No one deserves to be treated like an experiment." She stared at him for a long moment as if reading his heart. Then softly she whispered, "You are strange, Ethan, but maybe. Not all humans are lies." Just then a sharp mechanical sound echoed outside, the sound of metal wings slicing the air. A drone stopped above the shack. Red light filled the cracks in the wood. Ethan froze. Lyra's glowing skin dimmed. From outside came the voice again, cold and robotic. "Target confirmed. Third signature locked," Ethan whispered. "Run!" But Lyra grabbed his arm. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice trembling yet strong. "No, if I run again, they will always find me." Ethan stared at her, confused and afraid. Before he could speak, the lights of the shack flickered, and something deep within Lyra's body began to hum. A sound like energy awakening filled the air. Whatever she was hiding was about to reveal itself. The shack trembled like it was alive. The sound coming from Lyra was not human. It was deep, electric, and filled with power. Her skin glowed with bright silver light that spread across the walls like living fire. Ethan shielded his eyes, his heart racing. "Lyra, stop, what's happening?" he shouted, but Lyra didn't answer. She looked frozen, eyes wide open, the three pupils spinning fast like stars caught in a storm. The air turned heavy, filled with buzzing energy. The broken metal tools in the shack lifted slightly from the ground and vibrated. Then, just as suddenly as it started, everything stopped. The tools dropped. The light faded. Lyra fell to her knees, breathing hard. I didn't want to do that," she whispered weakly. "It happens when—" My other mind tries to wake. Ethan rushed to her and helped her sit down. "Your other mind? You mean your third one?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, the missing one. Sometimes it reaches for me. It wants to come back." Ethan stared at her, still shaking. "Lyra, you need to tell me the truth. What are you really? You said you have 3 minds. I don't understand." Lyra's silver eyes turned soft and she looked down at her hands. "You want the truth, human? Then listen." She spoke slowly, her voice calm but heavy with pain. "My people are called triune. We were not born like humans. We were made by the universe itself, light, matter, and thought. Each triune has 3 minds in one body. One feels love, one thinks logic, one remembers everything." Ethan listened closely, afraid to interrupt. Lyra continued, "Our 3 minds live in peace. We share our thoughts, our memories. That is why we never lie. But humans came, they wanted to study us. They said they wanted to learn. But they took more than knowledge, they took my 3rd mind." Her voice cracked. "They called it science. We called it theft of the soul." Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say. The thought of stealing a living being's mind made his stomach twist. Lyra looked up again, her glowing eyes full of hurt. "The one they took was my memory mind. It remembers everything, every face, every pain, every moment of my people's history. Without it, I forget things. I forget who I was. I forget home." Ethan swallowed hard. "And the humans who did this, who were they?" She looked straight at him. "Your people called it Project Mirror." The name hit Ethan like a punch to the chest. He staggered back. "No, that's impossible. Project Mirror was a defense experiment. I worked on it years ago. It was supposed to be about reflection systems and AI modeling. It had nothing to do with life?" Lyra interrupted softly. "You think they told you the truth?" Her words cut deep. Ethan stared at her, speechless. He remembered the security levels, the sealed files, the way his supervisor told him never to ask questions. "What if," he whispered, "what if I was part of this without even knowing?" Lyra's voice grew colder. "Then you are one of them." "No," Ethan said quickly, shaking his head. "I didn't know. I swear to you, I didn't know they were hurting anyone." For a long time, Lyra said nothing. She just looked at him, her strange eyes scanning his face as if her 2 remaining minds were trying to read his truth. Finally, she spoke softly. "One of my minds believes you. The other does not." The words hung heavy in the air. Outside, the wind howled through the trees. The night sky flickered with the red lights of distant drones still searching for her. Ethan took a deep breath. "Then help me understand, Lyra. Tell me how I can fix this." She hesitated, then said, "The only way to fix it is to find my missing mind. It's still inside a human machine." Ethan frowned. "What kind of machine?" Lyra closed her eyes. "A creation they call the Mirror Core. It copies thoughts and stores them forever. It is built using my stolen memory." Ethan's blood ran cold. He had heard of something similar. a secret storage AI built to predict alien behavior. He never knew it was made from a living being's mind. He stepped closer. If that's true, then your missing mind might still be alive. We could get it back. Lyra looked up sharply. You would help me? Yes, he said without hesitation. I helped create the tools that hurt you. Now I'll use them to fix it. Her expression softened for the first time. You are strange, human. But maybe you do have a heart. Before Ethan could respond, the scanner in his pocket began to beep again. He took it out and froze. The screen showed a pulse nearby. A strong, fast-moving signal. Lyra's face went pale. They found us. The sound of heavy footsteps and metal wings filled the air. Ethan grabbed her hand. Through the back door. There's a tunnel! But Lyra didn't move. Her pupils began to spin again, glowing brighter than before. What are you doing? Ethan shouted. Her voice echoed, but it didn't sound like hers anymore. It was sharper, colder, almost mechanical. Ethan, I know what you did. The words made his blood freeze. He stepped back slowly. Lyra, she didn't answer. Her body stiffened, her eyes glowing like molten silver. The air vibrated around her. Somewhere deep inside her, a hidden voice had awakened, and it remembered everything. The shack exploded with light. It wasn't fire. It was energy, cold and silver, spinning through the air like lightning in slow motion. Ethan stumbled backward, shielding his eyes. Lyra! He shouted. Stop it. You're going to burn yourself. But it wasn't Lyra anymore. Her body was stiff, her voice echoing in a metallic tone that didn't belong to her. Ethan Walker, human engineer, Project Mirror technician, access level 4. Ethan froze. How do you know that? Her head turned slowly toward him, her 3 pupils glowing like molten glass. I remember you. You stood behind the glass walls. You watched. His heart stopped. No, that's not true. I never saw you before. Her mechanical voice grew sharper. You did not see my face, but you saw my pain. You called it data. Ethan's hands shook. He remembered the lab, cold, bright, silent. Machines humming. He remembered seeing blue energy patterns on a monitor, hearing distant cries through a speaker. He had thought it was just a simulation. Oh God, he whispered. That was you? The light around Lyra dimmed. For a moment, her real voice broke through, weak and trembling. Ethan, it's not me. It's her. The third mind. She woke up. Her head dropped forward and her whole body shook like she was fighting something inside. Ethan rushed forward, holding her shoulders. Fight it, Lyra! You're still you. Her voice flickered between soft and robotic. I can't. She's stronger. She remembers everything. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then remember who you are now. You're not their weapon anymore. For a few seconds there was silence, only the sound of rain starting to fall on the broken roof. Then Lyra gasped, her eyes fading back to a dim glow. The mechanical voice was gone. I didn't want you to see that, she said weakly. Now you know what they did to me. Ethan helped her sit down, his mind spinning. That voice, your third mind, she hates me, doesn't she? Lyra nodded. She doesn't hate you. She hates what humans did, but you worked for them. You are the bridge she blames. Ethan sat beside her on the dusty floor. She's right to hate us. I built things that hurt people and I never asked why. Lyra looked at him carefully. You carry guilt. That is good. But guilt will not stop them. Outside, faint red lights moved through the fog. Drones, dozens of them, sweeping the forest. Ethan's scanner beeped faster. They're close, he said. We need to move. Lyra stood slowly, still trembling. There is a place, she whispered. Underground tunnels beneath the research base. I used them to escape last time. If we can reach the beacon, I can call my kind. Ethan frowned. Your kind? You mean more of you?
Yes, she said.
They hide beyond the dark side of your moon, waiting, watching, but they cannot find me unless I send the signal. He grabbed his gear and nodded. Then that's our goal. The beacon. They stepped out into the night. Rain fell hard now, washing away their footprints. The forest smelled of wet soil and metal. Ethan led the way through the trees, his scanner lighting the path. Lyra followed silently, every few steps glancing at the sky. Her silver skin reflected flashes of lightning. After nearly an hour, they reached the edge of the abandoned base. The massive gates lay half buried in vines, the metal rusted and broken. Ethan whispered, "This place feels haunted." Lyra's voice was quiet. It is haunted by what humans made here. They climbed through a gap in the wall. Inside, broken lights flickered weakly. Old machines stood covered in dust and wires. The air smelled of chemicals and decay. Ethan's memories hit him hard. The sound of his old boss, Commander Hales, shouting orders, scientists taking notes, the hum of generators. He never thought he'd see this place again. Lyra walked slowly through the hall, touching the walls. "I remember this place," she said. "This is where they cut me apart." Ethan felt sick. "Lyra, I swear I didn't know. I was just a systems engineer. They told us the subjects were virtual." She turned to him, her face unreadable. "And you believed them?" He looked down. "Yes, I did." For a moment, neither spoke. The rain outside grew louder, echoing through the empty corridors. Then from the far end of the hall came a voice that froze Ethan's blood. "I told them you'd come back." Ethan spun around. A tall man stepped out from the shadows. Commander Hales, older but still wearing that same cold smile. "You always were too curious, Walker," Hales said. "And now you've brought my experiment home." Lyra's eyes glowed bright blue. "You?" Hales smirked. "The runaway alien. My greatest failure." Ethan stepped in front of her. "You're not taking her." "Oh, Ethan," Hales said, shaking his head. "You really don't understand. She isn't a person. She's a key. Her third mind holds the code to something far bigger than you can imagine." Lyra's voice trembled with anger. "You mean the weapon?" Hales smiled. "Exactly." Ethan felt rage rise in his chest. "You can't do this." "Not again." Hales lifted a small control pad. "Watch me." Suddenly, alarms blared. The ground shook. Doors locked shut. Lyra grabbed Ethan's hand. "Run!" They sprinted down the corridor as the walls lit up with red light. Behind them, soldiers poured in, weapons raised. As they turned a corner, Ethan glanced back and saw Hales watching them calmly. His voice echoed through the speakers. "You can run, Walker, but you can't hide from what you helped create." Ethan clenched his jaw and held Lyra's hand tighter. "We'll see about that." They disappeared into the darkness below the base, the alarm screaming behind them, but in the tunnels ahead, a soft hum waited, an energy neither of them could explain. Lyra stopped suddenly and whispered, "Do you hear it?" Ethan listened. A faint rhythmic pulse echoed from the deep, like a heartbeat made of metal. Lyra's eyes widened. "That's not the beacon. What is it then?" Ethan asked. She looked at him, her voice shaking. "It's my third mind, calling me home." The tunnels beneath the old base were darker than night itself. The air was heavy, full of dust and the faint smell of burnt metal. Ethan's flashlight flickered weakly, its beam barely cutting through the shadows. Every sound echoed, each drop of water, each step on broken stone. Lyra walked ahead of him, her silver skin glowing faintly in the dark. The glow pulsed slowly, in rhythm with that strange sound, the soft, steady hum that echoed through the tunnel walls. Ethan frowned. "That sound, it's coming from below, isn't it?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, it's her. My third mind. She's waking." Ethan's stomach twisted. "What happens when she wakes up?" Lyra stopped walking. "I don't know." She looked over her shoulder, her eyes glimmering with 3 tiny lights. "But I feel her calling me. And she's angry." They continued deeper. The walls changed from stone to metal, lined with rusted cables. The hum grew louder, almost like a heartbeat, slow, steady, and full of energy. Ethan checked his scanner. The signal was strong now, centered in the deepest chamber. He swallowed hard. "Lyra, if this thing down there is part of you, maybe it can help us. Maybe it remembers something useful." Lyra shook her head. "She remembers too much. Pain, fear, death, that's all they gave her." Ethan stayed quiet. He could see how tense she was, how her glowing skin flickered like a candle in the wind. After a few minutes, they reached a huge circular door marked Project Mirror Core Access. Ethan's heart stopped. "That's it," he whispered. "That's where your memory's being kept." Lyra walked up to the door and touched it. The metal rippled under her fingers like liquid. Her voice trembled. "She's close. I can feel her." Suddenly, a cold robotic voice echoed from the other side of the door. "Identity match, Lyra Unit 3, access granted." The door opened with a low hiss. A wave of blue light spilled into the tunnel. Ethan and Lyra stepped inside. The chamber was massive, filled with tall glass tubes, each holding fragments of glowing energy that moved like mist. In the center of the room floated a sphere of light, surrounded by metal rings spinning in slow motion. The hum came from there, Lyra stepped closer, her voice shaking. That's her. My missing mind. Ethan looked at the sphere. It's on alive. The light flickered, then formed into a shape. Lyra's face, but colder, sharper, emotionless. The voice that came out made Ethan's blood freeze. I know you. Lyra's face went pale. Sister. It's me. The floating version of her tilted its head. You left me behind. Lyra stepped closer. They trapped you. I couldn't save you. The third mind's eyes glowed brighter. You forgot me. You forgot our promise. The ground began to shake. Sparks flew from the walls as the sphere pulsed harder. Ethan stepped forward carefully. Wait, listen to her. She didn't abandon you. The sphere's gaze turned to him, cold and sharp. You, human, you built the cage. Ethan froze. I didn't know what they were doing. Lies, the voice said flatly. I remember your hands. Your machines, Lyra's voice broke through. Stop, he's different now. He's helping me. The sphere paused, the lights dimming slightly. Helping? Or using you like before? Lyra's glow brightened. I don't know, but he saved me when you couldn't. He risked his life for me. For a long moment, the room was silent. Then the voice softened just a little. If he truly wishes to help, he must face what he created. The floor beneath them opened slowly, revealing a glass platform surrounded by energy cables. Lyra looked at Ethan. She wants to connect with us, but it's dangerous. If we fail, she could erase us both. Ethan hesitated. What do you mean, erase? Her power isn't just memory, Lyra said softly. She controls thought itself. If we enter her world, we might not come back. He looked at her glowing eyes and nodded. Then let's do it together. Lyra took his hand. Her skin felt warm now, almost human. Thank you, Ethan, for believing in me. They stepped onto the platform. The sphere lowered above them, its light surrounding their bodies. The air vibrated. Ethan's mind went numb as thousands of images flashed before his eyes. Memories, faces, cities, and stars. He saw Lyra's world before it was destroyed, a place of light and harmony. He saw humans invading, machines capturing, minds screaming. He saw her pain. And then he saw himself, standing in a lab, watching energy readings rise while voices cried in the background. He gasped, knowing that can't be me. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. Now you understand. You were part of their mirror. But now, you can break it. The sphere's light surrounded them completely. Lyra's voice became layered, 3 voices speaking at once. I am Lyra. I am the heart, the thought, the memory. Ethan shouted through the light. Then take it back. Be whole again. The sphere pulsed so bright it hurt to look at. A sound like thunder filled the air. Then silence. When Ethan opened his eyes, the chamber was still. The sphere was gone. Lyra stood in the center, her body shining like liquid silver, calm and steady. Her eyes glowed softly, each pupil now aligned in perfect symmetry. She looked at him and smiled faintly. I'm whole again. Ethan stepped closer, amazed. You did it. But before he could speak again, alarms blared above them. A cold voice echoed through the walls. Unauthorized reactivation detected. Purge protocol engaged. Lyra's face hardened. They know. Ethan grabbed his gear. Then we run. Lyra glanced at the ceiling, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. No, we fight. As she raised her hand, blue light swirled around her like a storm. For the first time, Ethan saw what she truly was, not just an alien, not a victim, but a living weapon made of mind and heart, and she was done running. The alarms screamed through the tunnels like sirens from another world. Red lights flashed across the walls, mixing with the blue glow from Lyra's body. Dust fell from the ceiling as machines deep in the base roared awake after years of silence. Ethan's heart pounded. They've triggered the purge protocol. We have to move now. Lyra didn't answer. Her eyes burned with new light, steady, powerful, terrifying. She stood tall in the center of the chamber, silver markings spreading across her skin like living armor. They won't stop, she said softly. They will come for me again. But this time I'm not afraid. The ground shook as the first wave of drones swarmed through the tunnel entrance. Their red eyes glowed in the darkness, scanning for heat. Each one carried blasters that whined with deadly energy. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm. Come on, we can't fight all of them. Lyra turned toward the drones. Her voice was calm. I don't need to fight all of them. Before Ethan could reply, she raised her hand. A ring of blue light exploded from her palm, sweeping through the tunnel. The drones froze mid-air, sparks shooting from their cores before they fell lifeless to the ground. Ethan stared in shock. "You just stopped them," Lyra said simply. "My third mind remembers how." He shook his head. "That was incredible. But more will come. Hales won't stop." At the mention of that name, Lyra's expression hardened. "Then we finish what he started." They ran through the tunnels together, the sound of engines and metallic footsteps echoing behind them. The deeper they went, the louder the alarms grew. Every hallway was lined with red warning lights and flickering screens that showed Hales's face. The commander's voice boomed through the speakers, calm and cold. "Lyra Unit 3, you were made for one purpose, to perfect humanity's mind. You can't escape what you are," Lyra hissed under her breath. "He still thinks he owns me." Ethan glared at the ceiling. "You're not his machine. You're alive," Hales's voice laughed. "And yet you built her cage, Ethan. Don't pretend your hands are clean." Ethan stopped in his tracks, guilt hitting him like a knife. "He's right. I helped make this place," Lyra turned to him. Her eyes were calm, glowing softly. "Then destroy it." Those words broke something inside him. Ethan nodded. "All right. No more running." They entered the main power core, an enormous circular room filled with glowing cables and spinning energy reactors. In the center, a tall machine stood like a tower of light, the mirror core. It was the same one that once held Lyra's missing mind. Lyra stared at it, her expression unreadable. That's where it began. Ethan pulled open a control panel nearby. "If we overload this system, the whole base will collapse." She stepped closer, her voice quiet but steady. "Then do it." He worked quickly, typing commands into the old console. The machine buzzed and flickered. "It'll take a few minutes. Just hold them off." Lyra nodded. She turned toward the doorway just as the next wave of soldiers poured in, armed with rifles and armored suits. Commander Hales himself stepped forward behind them, his gray hair glinting in the red light. "Stand down, Lyra," he ordered. "You belong to me." Lyra didn't move. "You built my prison, but you never understood what I am." Hales raised his weapon. "And what's that?" Lyra's eyes flared like stars. "I am not one mind. I am three. And together, we are stronger than you ever dreamed." She spread her arms. A pulse of energy erupted from her body. The soldiers' visors shattered. Their weapons shut down. The air vibrated with blue lightning. Hales stumbled back, shielding his face. "Impossible," Ethan shouted from the console. "Lyra, the system's almost ready." She turned her head slightly, voice calm even through the chaos. "Go, Ethan, finish it." He slammed the final key. "Done, it's set to overload in 3 minutes." But before they could move, Hales drew a small control rod from his belt. "If I can't have her, no one will." He pressed the button. The floor split apart, revealing glowing red lines, self-destruct sequences activating. Ethan cursed. He triggered a secondary detonation. Lyra's voice grew urgent. "We have to reach the surface." She grabbed Ethan and pulled him toward the exit. Energy flared around her feet as she moved faster than any human could. The tunnels behind them exploded one by one, walls collapsing under fire and smoke. They burst through a broken elevator shaft, climbing as debris rained down. Ethan's hands burned from the metal, but Lyra's grip never loosened. When they reached the top, the base entrance gave way to open night sky. Rain poured down, lightning flashing across the clouds. Ethan fell to his knees, gasping. "We made it." Lyra looked up at the sky, eyes glowing bright against the storm. Not yet. Behind them, the ground split open as fire erupted from the base. The explosion sent shockwaves through the forest. Ethan shielded himself, yelling over the roar. "That's it, it's gone." Lyra stood unmoving, staring into the flames. "No, the beacon still stands," he frowned. "Beacon?" She pointed toward the mountains. Through the thick rain, a column of blue light rose from the horizon. "That's the signal tower," she said quietly. "If I reach it, I can call my people." Ethan wiped the rain from his face. "Then let's go before they find us again." Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly, softer now. "They will find us no matter where we go." He smiled grimly. "Then we'll make sure they regret it." Thunder rolled across the sky as they disappeared into the storm. One human, one alien, both hunted, both bound by guilt and hope. Behind them, Commander Hales watched from the burning base, his face lit by firelight. He spoke into his communicator, voice cold and calm. "Prepare the pursuit ships. The Triune is complete, and we are not done yet." The rain never stopped. It fell like the sky itself was crying, washing away the fire and smoke that had swallowed the base. Ethan and Lyra moved through the soaked forest, their steps heavy, their breaths short. The explosions had faded behind them, but the chase wasn't over. Above the clouds, ships were coming. The deep hum of engines echoed across the sky, human ships hunting again. Ethan looked up. "They're scanning the whole valley." "We don't have much time." Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting the lightning. "The beacon is close. Once I reach it, they'll know where I am." "Your people?" Ethan asked. She hesitated. "Yes, but they may not come for me. They will come for what I carry, the memory of what humans did." Ethan frowned. "Then we'll give them the truth, not revenge." Lyra didn't answer. Her face was unreadable, her three pupils shifting slowly. She was thinking. No, she was feeling all three minds at once. The path ended at a wide clearing. In the center stood the old beacon tower, tall, cracked, but still pulsing faint blue light. It reached into the storm like a finger calling the stars. Lyra stepped forward, her voice quiet. "This is where it ends." Ethan followed her to the base of the tower. The ground was scorched from lightning. The old control pad was half buried under vines. He brushed the dirt away. "It's still active." "You can use it." Lyra placed her glowing hand on the console. Lines of blue light spread across the ground, connecting the beacon to her body. Then she froze. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They're here." Ethan turned and saw them. Dark shapes descended from the clouds, engines roaring through the rain. Human ships, sleek and deadly, landed in the clearing. Soldiers in armored suits poured out, weapons raised, and behind them, stepping into the light, was Commander Hales. Even through the rain, his eyes gleamed with cold satisfaction. "You can't run forever, Lyra." Ethan stepped in front of her. "You're not taking her, Hales." The commander raised his weapon. "Step aside, Walker." "You don't understand what she is." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I understand enough," Hales sneered. "She's a living weapon, 3 minds, 1 perfect machine. Do you really think you can protect something like that? She'll outlive you, outthink you. And when she decides you're useless, she'll burn you too." Lyra's voice broke through the thunder. "You fear what you can't control." Hales pointed his blaster at her. "I fear what destroys humanity's order. You're chaos, Lyra. You're proof that humans are not the superior kind." Ethan clenched his fists. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not." Hales laughed bitterly. "You sound just like her. Always dreaming of peace while standing in blood." The soldiers aimed their rifles. Target locked. Ethan's pulse raced. He looked at Lyra. "You said the beacon can reach your people, right?" She nodded. "Yes, but it needs a power surge, enough to burn through their signal shields." "How big of a surge?" She looked down. "Big enough to destroy everything around it." Ethan froze. "You mean, if you activate it, we die?" Lyra's eyes glowed softly. "Yes." The soldiers took a step forward. "Commander, orders." Hales smiled. "Fire when ready." Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. "Do it." She looked at him, shocked. "Ethan?" "Do it," he repeated, his voice firm. "End this. If your people come, they'll know humans tried to protect you. Not all of us are like him." Her lips trembled. "You'll die." He smiled faintly. "We all die. But not everyone gets to do something worth dying for." Lyra stared at him for a long moment. Then she took a deep breath. "I will remember you." She closed her eyes. The markings on her skin flared like blue fire. The air around her shimmered with energy. The beacon lit up, humming louder and louder until the whole clearing glowed. Hales shouted, "Stop her, fire!" The soldiers opened fire, but the bullets dissolved in midair, melting into light before touching her. Lyra lifted her arms toward the sky. "To the stars. I am home." The beacon shot a beam of brilliant blue light into the clouds. Thunder cracked. The ground shook violently. The soldiers screamed as the energy wave swept through them, disarming every machine, shutting down every weapon. Ethan stumbled, shielding his eyes. "Lyra!" She turned toward him, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. Her voice was soft but filled with power. "You gave me trust, Ethan, a human heart. Something no experiment could ever teach." He reached out a trembling hand. "I'm glad I met you." Her hand touched his cheek, warm and electric. "And I am glad I met you." Then the light swallowed everything. When the storm cleared, the forest was silent. The human ships were gone, melted into glass. The beacon still stood, shining faintly under the dawn sky. Commander Hales lay among the wreckage, his weapon broken, his voice weak. "What have you done?" From somewhere above the clouds, a deep sound echoed, a rumble like 1,000 hearts beating together. A fleet of silver ships appeared, shimmering like ghosts. Lyra's people had come. And beside the fallen beacon in the wet grass, Ethan stirred. He was alive. He opened his eyes to see the sky glowing blue, and for a second he swore he heard Lyra's voice whisper through the wind. "You chose heart over fear. That's what makes you human." He smiled weakly and looked at the sky as the ships rose higher, carrying her light into the stars. But miles away, deep underground, a single computer screen flickered back to life. Words appeared in white text: Project Mirror, Phase 2, activated. And just like that, the story of Lyra and Ethan was not over. It was only beginning.